Okay, I'm back. Had just a little technical difficulties. Efe from ETC Everything Cannabis, little technical difficulties, but I'm back now. And today we are going to interview Sean Credle from Pineapple Express. So we're going to wait for him to join us. And while we're waiting on him, I want to make sure, hello, People's Champ, thanks for tuning in. And while we wait for Sean, I want to make sure that I give a shout out to Red Moon dispensary down in the Valley. They sponsored some flour for me, and I did a little review on it. It was really good. It was RM Gelato 41. Hey, Jen, thanks for tuning in. So it was gelato, RM Gelato 41. It's a hybrid. It was really delicious. Had a nice terpene, was like a hoppiness. So it was really nice. I really did like it. So if you're in the Valley, definitely go out to Red Moon, and they are off of Oxnard. So giving us a little time. Sean's going to join us shortly. So if you can, just roll up, get you something good, of course. Hey there. Thanks for coming, Sean. I had a little technical difficulties, but we got that together. So absolutely. There we are. Hey, Scott. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks everybody for tuning in and coming in. Whoa, there you are. All right.
There we go.
Nice. How's everything? Had a little technical difficulties there, but we got it together.
What happened with your sound?
You said what happened to the sound?
Yeah.
I think I had my AirPods in, and they connected, and they said they didn't connect. So I don't know. Well, welcome to ETC Everything Cannabis. Thanks for being here.
Of course,
Hey,
of
it's
course.
been forever. It's a long time been trying to get you on here.
Yeah, I know. I know.
No
I'm
worries.
trying to set up now I'm reaching out to everybody that wanted me on, and I'm in a decent place now to where I can do these things and support people that support me, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. You're very busy, so I definitely appreciate you taking your time out to, interview and have everybody get to know you. I want to start off by saying that you were a Marine first. You've had a you had an interesting and pretty fun life, I would say. But you started off as a Marine first, did a little bit of real estate, and then cannabis. So tell us a little bit about that. How did that start off?
Um, yeah. So let me just correct you.
Okay.
It was not a past Marine, once a Marine, always a Marine. So you're always a Marine till the day you die. So I did those things. You mentioned real estate, um, fitness. I had a big fitness business in Miami, and did some acting, modeling, real estate. I was a college professor as well.
Oh, wow.
Uh, you didn't know that?
No, not at all. I knew you had like three masters, but I didn't know you were a college professor too.
Four.
Oh,
Four
four.
months.
Correct me
4 months.
again.
Yeah. Um, yeah, no, I was into everything because I felt like whatever you're good at, you should do it. And it just worked out to where I had a niche for pretty much everything I was into. I also taught trainers. So I probably certified close to 600 trainers across the country, personal trainers. So I used to teach those classes, anatomy, physiology, energy systems, all that stuff, out of a school, WFA, World Fitness Association, out of Fort Lauderdale. Big ups to you guys, helping a lot of people. So that was my thing. After the Marine Corps, I had a void. I went into corporate, where I was basically the data analyst and intelligence person for the CEO of United Health Group, which is the largest healthcare provider in the country.
Mhm.
So my analytics, my data, my fact findings helped the CEO make decisions that affect the millions of Americans. So I shadowed him for about 4 years, and but I decided to leave corporate because it was not filling a void that I got from the Marine Corps of service.
Mhm.
And I'm a service person. You know me enough to know that I'm a helper. I want to, I'm a doer, and
Absolutely.
there's nobody alone. Nobody gets anywhere by themselves. I always make this analogy, like even some rappers used to say like, oh, I did this myself. I sold this out of the trunk of my car. Yeah, but some DJ they risk their name spinning your stuff on the radio, which eventually got you da 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 da. So no one ever gets anywhere by themselves.
Absolutely.
No. So how I got into cannabis, it's funny because like, long story short, the founder of Pineapple, I had met him years ago in Miami through his now wife, used to be his girlfriend, was friends with my ex-girlfriend, and we met like that, honestly, and begrudgingly because I didn't want to meet him. I'm extremely introverted. So I'd rather always be home, but this position doesn't allow for that. So I didn't want to meet the guy. I met him on the last day we were there. We hit it off, and that was kind of it. I had since broke up, a month later, broke up. My girlfriend and I broke up, and that was like 2016. I've been single ever since. Wow, that's like, I've been single for a while. 4.5 years or something, almost 5 years. But we kind of stayed in touch, and then he noticed I was here in LA, totally, just on like kind of a vacation, parlay off of a Vegas, and he's like, oh, let me come to dinner, and I want to tell you about something I have going on, and if we do this thing the right way, I want you to take it over and run it. And I'm not at that time, and even this time, wasn't huge into cannabis. I was, I used it a little bit, helped with some PTSD stuff back in the day, but I wasn't, what I would call myself like a smoker, or into that culture heavily. So I didn't even try it until I was like 23. And I think in my 20s, I can count, I was like 5 times max. I want to say 4, but I'm going to be conservative and say 5 times that I even tried cannabis in my 20s. So it wasn't really my world. However, he painted a picture that was so dope that is now, is being true, and it's accelerating more than him and I thought it could be. So my position was, okay, I live in Miami and Puerto Rico. Do I want to move to California? As well? I was happy just doing it, being in my world. I was in Europe a lot because of my last profession, and I had no overhead, and I had no employees. So I'm like, I got no stress, so I'm good. I'm good. But eventually, I'm like, why do I have all these 4 masters? Why do I have this work experience, this military experience? And this could be taking on a company that is a public cannabis company, that has so many assets and great trademarks, that's already they're already public. This is on this side of prohibition. I want to get to the other side, and I really think I got something to work with here. So that's why I came on.
Oh wow, that's very interesting. I never knew that. Like, by that you like 20 at 20 you may have tried it like maybe only 4 times. It's usually people in their 20s are like, that's the time where everybody you try everything most of the time. So that was pretty cool. And when you were getting into it, and it was kind of like, because there's always the stigma around it. So how do you feel about the stigma? Because you're coming from a different profession, which people are like looking up to, and then you're going into cannabis where people are still they're in the middle of it. So how did you segue into, you saying, you know what, I'm going to do this, it's okay, and then really get into it?
That's a great question. I've been told that a lot, like even my family, some of my close friends, even my advisors, because everyone at the time before this knew that I had political aspirations.
Okay.
And they're like, you're like, you're undefeated right now. You sure you want to do this? and everything you touch is from the gold, but this is such a volatile industry, and you never know what's going to happen. I'm like, I looked at everything, and I'm like, well, what was presented to me and what we have, and I'm like, if anybody is going to do this stuff, it could be me and my background. The first thing that people do when they look at heads of cannabis companies is look at their background or even their criminal background, which I have nothing. I had time, and that wasn't even my fault. So I don't have nothing on my record. I am cool with everybody. There's nobody on the planet that's going to say Sean's, a jerk or whatever.
Uh-huh.
So I decided, if anybody was going to be able to change the narrative and break those stigmas, I felt it was going to be me, honestly. Wow. And you've seen the evolution over the last, at least year or two, maybe two,
yes,
but at least the last year, and see, what we've been able to do. So I've been able to, I guess, blend those worlds and still keep my integrity, still keep my personality, not lose myself, not just in cannabis, but just in LA.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's easy to do, but I have 11 years under my belt in Miami, so I was pretty ready to go. And as a 9/11 vet, I was like, well, this is not going to be worse than this. So, let's go. Let's do it.
Yeah. I want to say hello to Backstage Access Magazine that's in here in the cable. Say hello to everybody.
I'm going to see Dave tomorrow. Dave, let me know what you want for lunch tomorrow.
Oh,
I got you,
That's awesome.
David's family. Dave gave me an amazing gift. I don't know if you saw on my Instagram. I think it was like a week or two ago. No, it was like a week or two ago. He gave me a nice canvas photo that he took of Tiny Lister Devo in the office and delivered it to me. He's got one for Big Percy too. It's still in my trunk. Sorry about that, Pete. Yeah, Dave, I'm still lingering from that, Dave. Like, you still touched me right there. You said, I got something for you. I'm going to bring it by the office. And then he showed up, and with this canvas, I was like, oh, man, that's,
Yeah. And let's get a little bit into that, too, just a little bit. You had a really great year, 2020. Like, one of probably, like, your Final Express delivers was delivering. Like, one of the top delivery companies that I've seen in 2020 while the pandemic was going on, and you took the steps that you needed to make sure everyone was COVID safe too as they were delivering, which that is phenomenal. How did you do that? I mean, not only did you do that, we also know that Tiny was definitely one of your, what was your spokesperson as well. So there was a really high, and then there was kind of like a hit in the middle. And I wanted to know how you got through that.
Yeah, Tiny. Let me back up for a second. Told you about the first time this Tiny was presented to me. For those that don't know, Devo from the movie Friday, Zeus from No Holds Barred, and all of the kind of stuff. The guy's been in over 225 films. Policy with Marvin Peoples. I can go on and on. So I live in Puerto Rico. So I was coming back from Puerto Rico, and while I'm on the plane, I get a text from someone Curtis Jones. Shout out to Curtis Jones, Kurt Boogie. He said, "Hey man, I got somebody for you. I think will be a good spokesperson for your company." And I'm like, "Okay, who?" And he's like, "Tiny Lister." And I was like, Tiny Lister. That's the guy like from No Holds Barred, because I know him from that, because I was a wrestling fan back in the day.
Yeah.
Because I'm originally from Connecticut, so the WWF, WWE, their headquarters is in Connecticut.
All that good stuff.
So I was like, I didn't even think of Devo first. I thought of Zeus. And I'm like, Zeus? Like the guy, he's like, yeah, he played Devo on Friday. I'm like, all right, well, how would he be good for my cannabis company? And does he even smoke? I don't think he smokes. He's like, no, he doesn't drink or smoke. I'm like, so what the hell are you talking about? Like, why would this guy be gay? He's like, dude, just come meet him. When are you getting back? I'm like, I'm on the plane now. I can, I was getting in at night, but they were there in my office. I'm like, I'll swing by the office real quick, meet them. Honestly, I was like, I'll just get an autograph and I'm just gonna go home. I don't see how this can happen. But when I did get there, yeah, it was, we signed his deal that night, basically, pretty much. We just hit it off, and it was on some straight friendship stuff to start, and quickly became my neighbor. He moved like not even a mile away.
Oh,
Yeah, so I'm in Venice Beach. He moved right there. He's like, we can go to Gold, the famous Golds together. Da da da. And I'm a gym rat, but for those that know me, I don't train with anybody. Like I can't. I don't like to train with anybody but myself.
understandable.
And I end up training with Debo every morning. And so I'm like, I'm gonna pick you up at 6. He's like, I don't go in the gym at 6. I'm like, well, we're not gonna go. I'm gonna go. And he's like, all right, let's go. So he tells me when we get to the gym, he's like, you're the first person to ever get me in here in the morning. Even when I was at WWE, WWF, no one ever got me in the gym before noon. And then one of the old school cats in Golds, one of the old school trainers, he was like, "Is that timing?" He's like looking at his watch. He's like, "What time?" He's like, "I know." But I had a Marine call me up and said, "I'm picking you up at 6 and we're going." He's like, "So I'm here." So we just started doing that. And, he brought me into his family and introduced me to Faith, his daughter, beautiful girl, 12 years old right now. And she's smart as a whip. It reminds me of myself, like back in the day, very quick and very old for her age in her mind. So we just hit it off like that. And then it became, I brought him into the pineapple family. Everyone loved him. And then it was actually Debo's idea to do the deliveries that we did back in April. And that would started off that whole delivery campaign.
They were so cool. How the bike, how he
It
greeted
was
people.
nuts.
Like
It
when I
was
tell you,
nuts.
they went crazy. I was watching the videos and it opened the door and they're like, "Oh my god!" And it was phenomenal. I loved it. I loved every part of it. It was heartwarming to see how people gravitated when they saw him and loved him. And even when I had the chance to meet him, he was just funny, naturally
Always.
funny. He
Always.
took my hot chocolate. I had to get another one, but it's okay.
That was like the veterans event we had?
Huh?
The
Yes.
veterans event?
Yeah.
Oh, that's messed up, D. Damn.
Yeah. We were at the
I wish you
drive, the
told me that.
drive-by sales.
I would have got
But
on for that. I wish you told me that.
it's
Damn, D,
okay.
why you
Jen,
taking my chocolate?
Jen got me another one.
Yeah, but so we just hit it off, and he just blended well, and it was actually his idea. We were in Vegas, like in 2019 in December. We're in this hotel. We used to always duck parties too, because I'm extremely introverted. I have to do some of these things for the position in the company. However, there's no place I'd rather be than home and in holy sweats. Like I have a T-shirt on right now, but if you look below, I got on like 20-year-old sweats. So he's the same way though, and so we were like, we were at this party. I'm gonna put Big Percy on blast here because this was when I first met Big Percy. He's like, "Oh, you guys got to come to my party. Da, 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 it's gonna be crazy." And I'm like, And Debo's like, "Yeah, we got to go." I'm like, "All right, let's go." So we go. Percy doesn't even show up to his own party. So and Debo looks at me. He's like, "I don't think Percy's coming. You want to get out of here?" I'm like, "Dude, I can't. I was waiting for you to say that. I'm gonna go back to the room because this ain't my vibe." And he's like, "Let's go." So that was the whole thing. Every time we went somewhere, it was always an exit strategy. Okay, we got to show our face, but like, let's find an opportune time to get the hell out of here. And then we went back to the hotel. We went back to his suite, and we just watched like some old movies and stuff because he was big into westerns, black and whites. So we just watched that stuff and just talked life to the morning. And it wasn't like we were early birds. We just not party people. So that really started to cultivate the relationship, and it just was a brotherhood. So it was his idea back in Vegas that night when I guess I gotta give it to Percy too. He was like, we're just sitting there brainstorming about things that we can do, and he was like, "You know what you should do? You should have me deliver cannabis or Pineapple Express packages to people." And I'm like, "Nah, dude, that's not gonna work." and we forgot about it. That was it. I just poo-pooed it, and that was that. Come around to COVID time, April and all that stuff, the whole month was 420 because it was April 2020. So I'm like,
My
man,
birthday
I'm
month.
thinking about it. Huh?
I said my birthday month.
What's your birthday?
April 27th.
27. Cool.
Mm.
I got it. So we're like, I'm like, how do we do this? And I brought it up to my COO, my chief operating officer, Josh Eisenberg. Shout out to him. I was like, would this be illegal? Is this compliant? He's like, oh yeah, it's totally legal. We just can't have him. It's got to be like a publisher's clearinghouse type of thing where he would have a bag with no product. And, but we'd have a delivery driver doing the delivery and they just have to like, kind of reenact the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I brought it to him. McKinney's like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. I'm like, all right, cool. Now, keep in mind, at the time, Debo was on probation. So it was a lot of work beating his probation officer, convincing him like, yeah, he's for cannabis, but he's not going to be holding product, blah, 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 blah.
Oh, wow.
Judge involved, all this. Nobody knows all this stuff.
As I said, we have no idea. The people have no idea.
Nobody knows how hard my job is. Okay? My job is hard.
I see.
So I got to do all this stuff just to make stuff happen. So when people see it on, on TV or whatever, they're just like, oh, that's just the way it is. But the production of it or putting it together is very, it's very tough. So we did that. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, Jen. Yes. Jen Neville from the motherland, from South Africa, my creative director.
Yes.
Her, it just wouldn't have been done without her. Honestly, even before that, all of our production, all the videos you see, that's all produced by her. And
great job.
She takes. I'm not that creative. I can't draw worth of crap. But she takes what's in my head, and we got that connection where she can actually just put it out.
Awesome.
And so all these videos people see, I make it a point to say, okay, I did direct these things and I did edit these things, but not a lot, because she gets me and she just puts it out there, and it's like boom, boom, boom. So and Jen had a big relationship with Tiny too, because every production she was there.
Absolutely.
And also, Tiny liked her because his ex-wife, actually technically not, Felicia, she's South African too. So they bonded over that whole thing. Yeah.
Wow.
So it was cool. It was cool. He never called her Jen. He just called her South Africa. So yeah, man. It rode like that. We did it every Friday. A contest winner entered to win on pineappleexpress.com. And they were able to be a lucky winner to receive. We had a lot of vendors, sponsoring the event. Sponsoring that delivery. So we would do that. And we did it all for 420. It got so much hype that TMZ picked it up twice in 1 month. They don't do that stuff. But they hit us, put us on TV and the website, and then came back and did another follow-up interview to see what we were doing next. And also, too, content was bad. It was hurting during COVID. So
yeah,
there was no other cannabis company doing the stuff we did. It as well as I do. No one was doing the stuff that we did.
Nobody. Not in 2020.
No. So we carried that. It was so popular. We carried that into May, into Memorial Day. We delivered to a veteran winner. He was a Vietnam vet. Amazing guy. We did it for Father's Day, Mother's Day. We did it for Halloween. So it was great. We did it for Veterans Day as well. And then we were going to do a Christmas one, but, he passed a couple of weeks before.
Yeah.
So it was a great ride. I just take solace in the fact that he always said, thanks to you and Pineapple Express for getting me back on the scene. He loved to work. Guy loved to work. So I would, sometimes, I remember one time I think you came to this. We had a movie night. Remember that? We did a drive-in movie night.
Yeah, that's when you took my hot chocolate. That was the night.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that night. That's
all right, I got you. Okay, cool. So he was like, at that night, he was like, we should do, he just came back from Miami. He was doing a movie, and I knew he was gone a while, and I know a lot of the health issues that he had, because I'm the one who was on his ass all the time about his diabetes and stuff like that. So I got him eating differently. And that's when we did the radio interview on 420 with Casey and Romeo on Credle.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
Yeah, so we did that interview, me and him, and then Romeo was like, "So what are you eating during the quarantine? You know, what kind of snacks you snacking on?" And he's like, "Man, I'm snacking on grilled chicken and rice cakes because Sean has got me on his and oatmeal. I can't eat nothing." And they're like, but he's taking care of you. But it's true. He got better mobility, better movement. I was on his ass in the gym. So he's like, "Thanks for bringing me back to life." And that started getting him other things, other sponsorships with, Marijuana Deck.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen those awesome marijuana chairs in my office.
Yeah, I saw them.
The ones we delivered to Snoop, the ones we delivered to Big Percy. They caught eye of our videos and stuff, and they hired him to be his
big chairs for like kings and queens to sit in. Like when I saw them, I was like, "Ooh, I like those."
It's almost like a cannabis throne, right?
Exactly.
Something like that. So he got sponsorships from those guys, and it was great because he was doing all these things. He started a clothing line, Big Tiny Clothing, with Enoch, and if you see me wearing a Debo clothes, that's from him. So it was really going great, and I had a couple movie things in the lineups that I'm not going to say now because he's gone, but it was looking like he was going to blast off again and get a second wind, and I was happy to help with that. At the same time, he was helping my company grow. There's nothing better than him doing his thing, still getting that notoriety of being him. But honestly, people don't know, and he's just the biggest teddy bear, one of the nicest guys you can have. In 2020, I can tell you, he had 3 Coronas on separate occasions. That's the extent of his drinking. He doesn't touch cannabis at all.
Wow.
And that's for personal reasons of things from his childhood. So he's just, I always said, the dude's a great actor because you would never know. You would never know.
Yeah,
You know?
You never know. Not at all. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us. That's awesome. Remembering the story of Tiny Debo. That's awesome. And I know that you're in transition with bringing on someone else as well to be one of your spokespersons as well. And so we'll look for that in the future.
There's gonna be multiple because honestly, Tiny had big shoes to fill, figuratively and literally. Dude was like a size 16. So, so what we're doing now is we're going to do ad hoc spokesmanship. Not just have one person be it, but a voice for basically a lot of people. Mm-hmm. I'd like to, because maybe Tiny didn't relate well to someone else who didn't know him or understand the real him. So we actually have a few people that are going to come in and out, people that have shows on right now that everyone would know, or artists, things like that. So
that's pretty cool. That's a dope idea.
If the thing is like no cannabis company, I would say, everyone is doing their thing, but no one had that light that they did, with us. And I can say that confidently, because it's true. And no other cannabis company on the planet has the collective celebrity cachet that I do. You know that as well. Absolutely. And again, I'd be remiss if I didn't say, Big Percy, we got to talk about Big Percy because me and Pineapple would not be in this position. Maybe eventually, but certainly not as fast. So I have to pay homage to that man because
shout out to Big Percy.
Shout out to Big Percy. Debo introduced me to Percy. Let's put it that way. Oh. And Debo said you have to meet Big Percy, and walked me over to him. So everything that people have seen, I would say with me and Big Percy, it's only been business related, honestly, just a few months. This guy, we formed a friendship 2019, end of 2019, 2019, somewhere around there. And it was all organic love. It was all organic support. I didn't even sign Percy to be a part of Pineapple, to be our business development consultant, an extension of our biz until the fall. So he didn't even get paid for this stuff. He was doing it. If you know Percy, he
He's
needs to get
about his
paid.
money. Okay.
All about it. That is no question. That is no run me mines. That is his slogan. Probably be on his tombstone. But you know, but I was just I don't know. Again, I don't even know why I connected so well with Debo. The same with Percy because he's a very different person. But somehow we found some level ground to where we just supported each other, respected each other. I think is the biggest thing, because he wouldn't go out of his way to do stuff, especially if there's no money involved. So everything was organic, and we just had a good time together. We were finding places that were open for camping during COVID. We went camping a few times. That whole the whole rider gang actually started as a bicycle gang that he put together with me and some other people like Matt Barnes and stuff. We were just riding bicycles just to escape COVID. And that picked up into a rider gang. So I would say he has a huge hand in our acceleration. I would say in the last 6 months, for sure.